Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and boy have we got a good one for you today. Not only is this the crucial top 3 archetypes for the brand new Dominaria United Limited environment, we're also showing our very first attempt at draft in this environment, as well as highlighting one of the most overlooked but fundamental skills of any draft environment. I know I can be bad about this, and I bet you are too. So stay tuned. But before we get into all that, I am super excited at the prospect of getting to 500 subs because that is going to allow me to do a lot of really cool community building stuff for y'all over on EtherHub. So take just a moment, do all those YouTube things to support the channel, and I won't have to be awkward about it. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. If you've been around the channel for really any length of time, you should be pretty aware that the minimum levels of daily play will easily provide enough gold to do 9 quick drafts per set. Those 9 quick drafts will then easily provide enough gems to allow you to purchase the Mastery Pass without any outlay of actual money resources. And of course, those quick drafts are also providing you a virtually complete playset of all the commons and uncommons in any particular set, as well as about an overall 80% completion. And well, that's not too shabby for a free-to-play model. One of my ongoing focuses is demonstrating the ways that 3 quick drafts very consistently lead to a budget deck from the proceeds. And with some very simple math, all of this leads us to the ongoing assumption that if we are trying to think about more than 3 or so archetypes in a given set, that we are probably wasting some of our efforts. So let's see where our focus should be for this set. All right, we're going to kick things off in the top 3 here in true Stronghold style with an honorable mention. In preseason, I really thought Domain was going to be one of the critical decks for budget drafting this season, but a couple things have kind of come together and conspired to take it out of that top 3. First of all, Domain can be a little tricky to put together in Limited and a little shaky in that regards. It's going to be hard to pull off. Secondly, the Domain payoffs are also very splashable and still work fairly well even in a deck that doesn't care about Domain, especially if that deck is splashing into a 3rd color. So that's a little bit piled up against it. The second strike against Domain is typically something I would think of as very favorable for budget players, and that is that Domain as an archetype is very accessible through the jump-in packs. Between Wandering and Globetrotting, you have access to every major common and uncommon in green that cares about Domain. Secondly, Herd Migration, arguably the best Domain rare in the set, is also in Wandering, and you can even pick up the Vermin deck to get a copy of the Green Widow there, which to my mind is probably the 3rd best rare, but at least 1 copy is probably going to be recommended for our budget Domain deck. All in all, the Domain archetype is very accessible through jump in, meaning there's even less cards that you're going to need to draft for this. All of that jump-in accessibility leaves behind just a handful of off-color common and uncommon cards to even worry about drafting. And honestly, you'll probably get these when you open packs. And just a few rares to be picked up that even really care about domain, which may or may not even be in the budget version of a domain deck. Coming in at number 3 is the Defender's deck, primarily because it is so accessible within the format. Not only are there 2 colorless cards, but there are 2 cards at common and uncommon in white, blue, and black, as well as a green common. So very easy to pick these up, and are something that you're going to see in almost every deck, even the ones that don't necessarily care about Defender. What is going to set those Defender decks apart is one of these 4 cards, and primarily the Chaplain. This card has definitely run away with the archetype here, and believe it or not, I have seen calls to ban this card on Reddit already, and we're only about 2 weeks into the draft environment at the time of recording. But Chaplain is the most serious win condition here, and you see the other 3 here, either for attacking with big butts, for life loss, or for milling. Of course, the milling concept is a lot easier to pull off in Limited than it will be in Constructed, so choose wisely. But I'd say picking up any of these in Pack 1 or early Pack 2 will definitely set you up to potentially draft a full-on Defenders deck. And as we discussed, taking some of those other Defenders early on will set you up for a Pack 3 incidental pickup of one of these potential win cons. There will also be definite cases in which taking a late common pick Defender creature will be the right institution. Shield Wall Sentinel in particular, even if all it does is tutor a second copy of itself, that is in fact a form of pseudo card advantage, and card advantage in Limited tends to be pretty good. These late picks may also set you up for an unexpected pick in Pack 3, where you pick up one of those other 4 cards we just talked about and you accidentally win the whole thing. It can happen, so choose wisely, guys. Number 2 is really more of a general draft strategy rather than an archetype all its own. If you recall, we spoke at length about the number of great blue cards in this set, and just how much of an impact that is going to have on your collection and your arsenal of budget decks for the next 2 years in Standard at least before these cards rotate. And currently I think they're never going to let Negate rotate out of Standard again. That just seems to be an absolute staple, and the sooner you get them and add them to your arsenal, the better you will be. When speaking about this draft environment, blue plays very well with just about every other color available. So picking these up as kind of a fallback point will allow the AI to then maybe build some decks you didn't expect by combining those strong incidental blue cards with one of your other colors that you drafted maybe more intentionally, and allow you to pick up more wins from the AI created deck than what you had originally expected out of your draft. And we had to make it all the way up to number 1 before we hit our first proper 2-color archetype for Dominaria United. This, I want to focus on the white go wide aspect here, and more specifically the red-white go wide aggro. Not only is this, I think, the 2 most powerful and consistent colors in this limited environment combining into one very effective tool, it is also strong enough on either color's own right that you don't even really need any of the gold cards to really make this strategy come together, although certainly they're nice if you have the opportunity to pick those up. Red-white also adds a strong now and even stronger potential in the future new budget deck to our arsenal. Red-white right now is that warrior samurai build, which is kind of the opposite of go wide. They want you to swing with one creature that then gets support from all the others, and it's cool and I like it, and there's no reason not to play it. But this is the forward-thinking perspective of that deck that will replace the samurai deck for you over months to come, because this deck is going to keep getting stronger. Samurais just isn't going to get that kind of support in a Phyrexian-centered storyline environment. So I think a red-white go-wide needs to be the go-to place for drafts in Dominaria United, and I suspect you're going to see a lot of that on the drafts that I show you in the coming weeks. Stronghold, I'm the Magi, and thank you for joining me today as I begin my very first Dominaria United quick draft. I'm actually looking to do approximately 9 per account this weekend, so I plan on being on Twitch quite a bit, and I hope you'll join me for that too. But without further ado, let's plunk down that 5,000 gold. And of course, got to adjust the view. And as a quick drafter, I am going to be taking the rare. But if I were not taking the rare, I would probably be most interested in Wrath from a value perspective. Of course, Bite Down, Keldon Strike Team, both very, very good commons there. And really, Phyrexian Espionage is not a bad card, but I think is really only good in the blue-black deck. But as I said, we are taking the Horde Master because, well, I'm a goblin a little bit at heart. I'm not sure what that says about me, but it is definitely true. And don't forget, just because we take a rare in a value draft, it doesn't mean we have to play with it. Goblins, despite what we're seeing here in the pack with the Goblin Picker also available, goblins are not very deep in this particular archetype and would be very hard to pull off in limited. Constructed, though, might be an entirely different thing, certainly in historic. And, oh, wow, look at there. Now we get the Elf Lord for pick 2. How crazy is that to get back-to-back rare lords? I have to say I'm very enthused about that from a value perspective. But the Elf Lord is something a tad bit different, really. There are enough elves in the set here that you could make elves work in a limited environment. I'm not sure it would be particularly easy, but it is certainly doable. If I were not taking the rare, which I am, I would definitely be taking a Wingmantle Chaplain. This is far and away the best uncommon in the set and is an absolute bomb. If you are able to pick this up in pack 1 or early pack 2, I would say absolutely build a defender deck. But we're here for value, and I just can't pass a rare this early on as much as I want to play Wingmantle Chaplain. It's just not in the cards. We'll go ahead and lock that in and move on to pick 3. Resolute Reinforcements is probably the way to go here. White-red is kind of my default go-to on a draft of this sort. Linebreaker, also quite good. But I think the Reinforcements is probably the correct pick here. Although the pros seem to prefer the Linebreaker. Cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. I don't know. I really like the red-white go wide aspect. I think I think that's where I'm going to go here. A little against the AI. Weather Sea Treaty is the strongest AI pick. The Fury Rider is actually the highest pro pick, and I think that fits really nicely, potentially, with our Resolute reinforcements. Weather Sea Treaty, of course, is all about that domain, and certainly something worth considering, but I think the Fury Rider is just a stronger card for us early on in the draft. We've also got a couple of nice dual lands there, and Captain's Call is not a bad common at all, but I think it's a little early to be passing high quality uncommons here. Let's see, we've got an Academy Wall. Linebreaker is probably where I'm going with this, although Twinferno is quite nice at the uncommon level. The AI and the pros are rating these dual lands very, very highly, and I can't say that I disagree. I think there are definitely going to be times where those are the right picks. But right now, I think that second Linebreaker Baloth that we've seen is definitely the way to go for pick number 5. Bowhair. Very, very good. Shell Rods is better than average. There's not a whole lot here that does a whole lot for the deck. Mana Worker is probably on par with Restoration. I'm not seeing anything else here that's really super good. So I think we're going to take the Bowhair here, mostly on value. So far, I don't think this is the deck that we're playing, but it is nice to pick up those legendary uncommons as quickly as you can. Essence Scatter, really good. Gin of the Fountain, I think, is probably where I'm going here. Again, maybe not making the deck, but picking up those above a rate uncommons, generally a good idea in the first draft. Garna. Ooh, boy. The pros are really loving this card. Whenever another creature you control dies, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, this card deals 1 damage to the opponent. That is a really strong build around, actually. I am going to go ahead and snatch that up here. We are all over the place. Phyrexian Espionage and Aggressive Sabotage. Do we end up going blue-black? That's going to be a tough call, but I think I am going to pick up the Espionage here, rather, and see where our picks continue to take us. Contaminated Aquifer is feeling like a really solid pick here. Vineshaper Prodigy is not bad either. I think Vineshaper as a 2-drop body is probably better at this stage than the land. Timely Interference I'm not in love with, but boy, blue is feeling very, very open. And Timely Interference is by far the best card in the pack. Shore Up is exactly what that tends to do for your deck, especially if you are a little light on threats. That's a good way to make sure your threats stick around a little bit longer. A Wield, pick 13 Twinferno. That is somewhat shocking, but I will definitely pick that up. And a free Academy Wall, just in case we end up going walls. The Cruelty of Gix. There is nothing in the uncommons here that make me doubt that particular pick, and it really leans me towards that potential blue-black build. So, wow. Is that really 5 common lands in the same pack? That's just absurd. I really have no idea why that would happen. But let's see here. We got some good uncommons going here. I think the Aeronaut is probably the pick of the uncommon litter here. Sengir Connoisseur also very good, and probably a little more on color potential for me, although we have the blue, but not a lot of green. Black is just ahead, but yeah, I think Connoisseur might be the way to go. And I mean, we've got the makings of a good start on a red-black sack deck, but so far the rest of our picks have not really taken us in that direction. Hydromancer, Walking Bulwark. I think I picked that up for the potential of going Defender. I think that's much stronger for us than really the Warren Chief, although not by much. And Hydromancer is not bad, but I'm not sure blue-green is really where I'm going there. I think I'm going to take the Bulwark and see if maybe that Defender deck comes together for us. Najal, Jodas Codex. Codex is just really bad and situational unless you have the domain deck, and then it's pretty decent, but not a huge amount. What do we take here? I'd say either of the lands could be an option. Najal is, or is it Nahal? I don't know. And a Freak Wizard. That is probably the most likely card for the AI to take. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go with that. I'm not feeling at this stage in Pack 2 that I'm probably going to have to go 3 colors. So that takes a little of my mental pressure off picking up the dual lands early. I think I'm going to take the value here in the uncommon, in the legendary creature, in the highest pro rating, in the highest AI rating, and just let the AI deck builder sort this out in the end. I have 1 uncommon left in the pack, and do I simply take that? There are several arguably better cards here, but not necessarily for our deck. Keldon Strike Team and, of course, the Sacred Peaks, both really good in that red-white go-wide deck that is feeling like less and less of a reality for us as we are coming around the curve here on Pack 2. I think I am just going to take the uncommon value here. I am already a rare ahead, so I am not terribly worried about my win rate on this particular outing here. The Flowstone Kabu feels like the right pick here. Yeah, there's nothing else here even super close, honestly. So I think we're going to go with Kabu. And that is shoring up, maybe going blue-red here. And if that's the case, Balmor is probably the correct way to go. And maybe we start valuing instants and sorceries a little bit higher. Flowstone Infusion, another good one, but I think I have to take the uncommon value here. We haven't quite... well, this is our last pick before the corner on Pack 2. What are we hoping wheels here? Maybe the Fires of Victory, the Flowstone Infusion would be very nice. Even a Haunted Figment or a Jai's Firenado. So there's really good odds that we're going to see something decent wheel here, but I do think Balmor is probably the best pick right here, right now. Combat Research. Yep, that's an uncommon we are absolutely going to want. Keldon Strike Team, very good, but again, we're just so low on white picks. I think I have to take the pick 8 uncommon that is really the mainstay for a mono blue tempo deck in standard, as well as potentially useful in historic. We will grab that up. Another Scorn, and that one I'm feeling a little less excited about. Captain's Call, a much better card. You have my Steel Crusher, a better card. Or do I take the Survey? I already own 4 copies of Survey. How crazy is that? The jump in very aggressively, taking that deck more often than not. So, Business Sector, pretty darn good. Captain's Call, very good, but not necessarily in white. I just don't feel like that's where we're at. Or do I take the Steel Crusher? I think we take the Steel Crusher, lean into the red. And another Twinferno. Very, very late value. Another Vivisector, another Steel Crusher. So both of those are pretty decent commons to be seeing this late in the draft. Heroic Charge is the best card in the pack if you have that red-white go wide. We unfortunately don't. So do I take the Twinferno here? I've already got 2 copies of that, and this is only our first draft. So I think we take the slightly better card in the Steel Crusher. We know we have more opportunities to draft that Twinferno. We know it's not a beloved uncommon. So I think we try and shore up our deck just a little bit. Tons of good black cards here. Thrall of the Pit actually isn't bad for that black-red build. Let's see here. There's definitely enough space, enough sacrifice stuff around in this format. So it is definitely a build around. And we do have a Garna as well. And a Singear Connoisseur. Cruelty of Vix is not bad either. So I do think we try the Thrall. I think that's what we do. 0 copies owned up to this point. Fire NATO seems like the correct pick here. Bone Splinter also very good. I don't understand why Bone Splinter as decent removal is still in here this late in the game. I think we take the Fire NATO. We're just so much stronger in red going into pack 3. Strike Team, how is that in here this late? Was red and white that open that I didn't even notice? And a Free Thrill of Possibility, which I already own like 400 copies of, so that's great. The Urborg for a black-white zombie wizard. I'm not sure that gets played in this deck, but it is definitely the pick. Cut Down, of course, is both the pro and the AI pick. 4.4 out of 5. Very, very much the strongest pick here, but of course we are in this to pick up value, and to pass a rare over something like a common or an uncommon, what I need to do is pick up another pack's worth of value to replace the rare that I'm potentially giving up, and that means 2 wins in the draft. And as good as Cut Down is, and this maybe comes very close, I'm not particularly confident that that will secure me the 2 additional wins that I need to replace the rare value. So I am going to pick rare. And let's see here, we are looking at pick 2 here. Scorn is just okay. Choking Miasma is fair, and Hurling Cyclops I think is maybe the best card in this deck, especially since we are strongly considering running that sacrifice deck. I really think that is the correct pick for us. Not only does it fit our potential deck here very, very strongly, but it is the best uncommon and arguably the best card in the entire pack. So that's where we're at. Taking it like a champ. Acolyte or Baloth. I think Bailoff is probably the correct pick for us, although green is almost certainly not a possibility at this point. Frankly, neither is white. 3 picks in green, 4 picks in white. I just don't see how we could possibly go there. Although if we picked up an appropriate land, that might be a good splash. Relic could be good for fixing. I think this is that opportunity that I look for in the draft to pick up an item of fixing that won't necessarily hurt me. Although I don't necessarily feel compelled to do that in this particular draft because I am very strong blue-red and potentially strong in black, depending upon how our remaining picks go. But I do want Relic of Legends for my collection, and now seems like a fairly opportune time to pick that up. Bailoff and Acolyte not really doing much for our deck. Keldon Strike Team not really doing much for the deck. And I mean, those are the best cards in the pack. I guess we could run Strike Team for red. We really could, and just not worry about kicking it. But I think this card is really at its best, honestly, in that red-white go wide, and I just don't feel like that's where we're at. I don't know, moment of indecision. I think I take the Relic, mostly on the value basis. I'm picking up an uncommon that I want for my collection. I think I have exactly 0 copies so far. Yep, that is where we're at. Another combat research and Micromancer. A build around. If your deck has 3 spells, this can search up. I'm not sure that's where we're at all. Braid's Frightful Return. That, however, feels very, very good. Tribute also very good and limited. Do I take the combat research or the Frightful Return? I think we take the not 2-for-1 saga here and go with Braids. And Rada, very good. Runic Shock, very good. Another Bulwark, but I really have not been picking up anything in the way of walls. So if I take a second Bulwark here, Rada probably is not getting played in the deck. Runic Shock, almost definitely not getting played in the deck. Bulwark is pretty strong. I think I'm taking that just on the collection. We'll take it for the collection. Okay, so pick 6 here. Now we're down to the commons. And what's worth maybe having here? The Magnaloth Century, of course, that mostly. Oh, hello. Flowstone Kabu. I almost literally did not see the card. That is absolutely where we're going. Analysis done. And this makes me regret the earlier choice to take the Relic. I guess that is going to be a much later pick than I would have thought. So we could take the Branch Rider here. The War Brute seems like the stronger pick. Yeah, I think that is the correct play to go. Juniper Order, Root Weaver is probably the strongest card in the pack overall. Pixie Illusionist goes really good with Domain, obviously, and it's evasive. It's a turn 1 drop. Good stuff. But I think for us, War Brute is where we're going. And we can pretty much say we are not going to be 3 colors here. I mean, it's just very unlikely to happen. Extinguish the Light. That feels like the right pick here. Maybe to shore up black. It is definitely the best card in the pack. It is definitely better than Academy Wall or Enthrall with the Pit. Because Enthrall with the Pit is only good if we end up in black as well, which of course is still very possible. But if we're thinking we're leaning towards black with this pick, Extinguish the Light is still the better pick. What? This makes no sense whatsoever. I do not understand. A pick 9 cut down. Yeah, I don't understand why that just happened, but I am very happy to have benefited from it. Another Scorn possible. Um, but I think we're really leaning towards maybe that red-black build. I think there's a lot more synergy in that, which points us more towards the Warhorse. And I think, yeah, I've already got 2 copies of Scorn, one of which was from this very event. So I think having a second one of those feels bad over 2 bodies and a sack outlet. Yeah, Warhorse. That's where it's at. Negate. I don't need negate at all. Cavalier isn't terrible, but of course we're not really playing it. I think we take the drawbridge here because this is kind of a dead pick for us any way we go. And I think the drawbridge actually adds the most value to my collection. I've already got 2 copies of Cavalier from having done jump-ins. Snare Spinner is not going in my deck. Negate feels bad generally in Limited, where its non-creature attribute means it probably isn't hitting 60-65% of the stuff in your opponent's deck. So I think we go with the drawbridge. Probably not going to be in the defender deck for this, but that is a nice thing to pick up for the collection. Here we have a really bizarre, almost interesting choice. Warbrute and Flowstone Kabu in the same pack at pick 12. This makes me think that I made a good choice by kind of shifting over into red when I did, and starting going for that black-red deck, because this tells me this is just so wide open. This is a tough choice though. I've got 2 Kabus. I've got 1 Warbrute. I think we go Warbrute here. Academy Wall seems like the correct pick, really just to support that defender deck as a budget player, adding that to my collection. Writhing Necromass, really? Yeah, okay, it's my 14th pick, pack 3, and it's in color. This makes blue and black dead even as my secondary color. So we'll see now what the AI sorts out for us. Excuse me. All right. Let's see what the deck wants to do. Yeah, it's wanting to go red-black and splash for Balmor, which is kind of weird. That's sorcery instant, and it wants me to run the relic for fixing. Interesting. Very interesting, in fact. I think I more or less agree with all of the blue cuts here that they've made. The AI did not want to run my single copy of Keldon's Strike Team, which again kind of reinforces my thought that that card is really only super good in the red-white deck. Combat Research could be a good thing to run over Relic. I really hate the possibility of going 3 colors of land here, and I am strongly considering, well, I have to splash something, don't I? I just don't have quite enough red and black cards. I should have picked up another, well, really anything. No, I think we are going to build this out. All right, let's start building here. Wow, is it gonna have me run that? Well, I mean, it is a 2-drop. Not sure I love that. That might be something we change. there are no straight up red cards that I'm not running. Oh, well, I am completely running this in reverse. Okay, so let's start cutting the blue and the green here. Balmor is the one blue card the AI wants me to run, so we will give that some consideration here in a moment. Tori, Linebreaker, Najal, Jin. I missed something in white. What did I miss? Resolute Reinforcements and the Clockwork Bridge. Okay, so we're down to 2 cards here that it wants us to cut, and one of them is Warhorse, and I'm not sure I feel super good about that. In this format, I think running 3 kinds of basic lands, unless you're in domain, is kind of death. And I didn't feel the need to support a 3rd color by picking common dual lands. So now I've got to make the hard choices and cut blue here, dropping the Balmor. Yeah, I think that's so much better. What else are they wanting me to cut here that I have not? Keldon Strike Team, I think that's the card, right? Yep, Keldon Strike Team. All right, so this is feeling a little good. I'm going against the AI here, cutting the Balmor for a better mana base, and instead running the Warhorse. I might be wrong. I really might. It's very early in the season here. I haven't played this archetype, or, well, this limited environment at all. But I feel like that's a decent curve. I wish I had more with the Bulwarks, but really a 0/3 1-drop is not bad, just to be defensive, and it becomes a sack outlet later. So I can actually send it to its death as a blocking creature, and once blocks are declared, then I could sack it to one of my other little tricks here. I'm not super in love with running the Horde Master here, but I cut it a little tight here to go 2 colors. In fact, I've already had to make that one Bulwark sacrifice Balmor sacrifice to go for the Warhorse, and I think trying to do another sacrificial move is probably going to cut into our win rate a little too much. So here is what we're going to run with, and let's jump into a game here, and at least gotten one more turn. Not that I think it was going to matter with that game state. Alright, well, the interesting thing about being down 2 in a quick draft is then in game 3 you are most likely paired against someone else who is 0-2. That means you don't have to draft better than everybody else, you just have to have drafted and built better than that guy. So let's see exactly how that works out right here. You see it's taking a little bit longer to find that opponent because they're trying to give us a favorable pairing, or at least an even pairing. I guess it's not quite right to say favorable. And that is okay. I'm willing to wait here. I'm usually very impatient about the queues, but this is one of those times where that's just not the case. I'm happy to wait a little bit and take my time here. Maybe getting that even keel opponent that I have a better shot against. There we go. PQ Fire. Again, not a lot of great opening hands in this deck. I think I just didn't go strong enough on 2 drops. I really don't. I will have to remember that moving forward. I will keep this. If I can draw the land, it works. If not, we go down in flames as an 0-3. That is just how we start the season. Citizen's Arrest with our Steel Crusher and get value from the Garna. Menace. What a menace. So we are... Alright, let's do... I don't know why it won't let me, why it won't let me sack that? What is that about? Oh, because it's just artifact, not enchantment. How unfortunate. Okay, so with that in mind then, I think we double up and attack him. And I guess we extinguish lights? Is that the correct play here? I think it is. Let's go ahead and take him out. We are actually significantly ahead for the moment. How crazy is that? Oh, look at that. That is what we call a good card. I still can't kick it though, which is just super unfortunate. But I could take it and then cut it down as my own creature and trigger Garna. That feels like a solid play. Let's do that thing right there. Oh! Well, I guess I don't have to worry about swinging with it. Choose a legendary card, and so this one is mine, right? Yes. And, well, now we don't have to cast Cut Down, but we can get in for 6 here. This is feeling suspiciously like victory. We've got the Cut Down in the chamber, ready to go. And that feels like a potentially good target. Let's see what they want to do. Nothing. Let's go for the throat with toughness. Target a creature with power and toughness 5. Oh, total power and toughness. Haha, just kidding. But we can still fire NATO it. So we still has the Whimsy wins. Sure. Let's put that back here. And yep, there we go. All right. As predicted, we secured win number 3. On board, no doubt. There it is. Okay. So we actually did a little better than what I anticipate doing, particularly in the opening draft of a new limited environment. Going 2-3 is not too shabby. In fact, my average overall is about 2.2, 2.3. So I'm really not far off average here, even for the first event of a new limited environment. We definitely did get value with the pack that we're going to get here. That's going to guarantee us 5, possibly 6 if we get double packs. In fact, let's just see how that worked out. We didn't, but we did get 200 gems. That's a nice way to start the season. I will take it. And with all that having been said, don't forget, smash that like button like Ronnie J would. And no matter where in the world you are watching this from, I hope you have a magical day. And until next time, I'll see you in the arena.